ESPN announced that they have acquired the rights to Inside the NBA starting during the 25-26 NBA regular season. They will have the license for the Inside the NBA show. They also announced that they don't plan to make any changes to the show. It's going to have the same format of having Ernie, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Shaquille O'Neal. So the rumor was that there was a possibility that they would add Stephen A. Smith to the show, but the vice president, actually the president of ESPN, Burke Magnus, confirmed that there would be no changes and that Stephen A. he alluded to would not be added to the show, which I have to say is disappointing. Not because I like Stephen A. Smith. I definitely don't like him at all. I have never been a fan of Stephen A. I've known about Stephen A. going back to the late 90s when I was in high school. I remember seeing him on this old channel called CNN SI. For you young people, you probably don't know what that channel was, but it once existed on cable. It was the ESPN version for CNN, I would say. That's how I would describe it. He used to be on that channel with all his rumors and gossip. Wasn't big back then. He had like a 5-minute role every day on some show where he made a guest appearance, but wasn't big. But even back then, I thought he was crazy and just like a nut job. So I've never been a fan of his. And some of you guys may ask, then why would I want him on Inside the NBA? Well, I used to like Inside the NBA. I liked it back when I was in high school during the late 90s, early 2000s. That's when the show really started to take off. I would say in 2000 when Barkley joined the show, actually fall of 1999, he joined the show. That's what I remember. And no, I'm actually wrong. But it was 2000. My bad. But anyways, yeah, fall of 2000 when Charles Barkley joined the show. That's when it really took off. Like just before Charles Barkley, I would say Inside the NBA was like the equivalent to NBA Countdown ESPN. No one gave a shit about it. It wasn't big. It was dull. It had no substance. It just wasn't interesting. No one really cared about it. But when Barkley went on that show, it changed it. It became a very entertaining show. And it was great for like the first 10, 12 years of his existence. It was great. And then it went down the toilet once they added Shaq. I've always hated Shaq. I don't find him funny. His humor is for stupid people. Yes, I'm going to say for those of you who are offended, oh, well, I don't care. Shaq's humor is for dumb people. He's not funny. He sucks up all the oxygen in the room. And I felt he ruined the chemistry of that show. Before Shaq was there, Barkley would go on these bigger rants, these great rants, and he wouldn't be interrupted with stupidity. No one would try to take the shine away from Charles because they all knew Charles was the star of the show. Shaq doesn't believe that, and whenever Charles gets on a good run of jokes, Shaq will interject with his stupidity and he'll just kill the momentum. Or when Charles is making a great point and Shaq sees that the attention is starting to shine on Charles, he'll try to steal it back with some stupid take or some hot take. I have never liked Shaq. I think Shaq destroyed the show. And to me, Inside the NBA has really been dead for the last 10 or 12 years. And this is why I would have been down with adding Stephen A. Smith. He would have added a nice wrinkle to the show. He would have added some controversy. And I think he would have ruffled some feathers on there. Excuse me. I just coughed. But I think he would have ruffled some feathers on that show, especially with Shaq. I would have loved to see the back and forth, just the yelling, the screaming, and then Barkley being thrown in that mix. I wanted to see that chaos. I think the chaos would have made the show very exciting, and it would make up for the part of Shaq being on there. As long as Shaq is on the inside the NBA, in my eyes, there'll be a dumpster fire. Yes, you have those moments where Charles steals the show with some highlights, with some of his comedy chops, his insults. That's great and all, but for the most part, the show really sucks, at least in my eyes. I'm disappointed that ESPN is going to bring it back. I was just looking forward to not seeing Shaq on at least on a major network for as long as possible. Hopefully, I didn't think NBC would hire him, and Amazon, if it gets it, I don't think they would have hired him. And now, unfortunately, Shaq has the platform again to run his mouth. So that really sucks. So very disappointing. I thought Stephen A would have been a great equalizer to the stupidity Shaq brings to the show. And I would have liked to see some drama. I think we would have seen some great drama with the triangle of Stephen A, Smith, Shaq, and Barkley. So yeah, we missed out on that. I don't care about Ernie or Kenny. To me, they're just a bunch of scrub role players. If we were looking at it as a team, it's pretty much Barkley makes the show. Without Barkley, this show means nothing. And even with Barkley, to me, it's always like a dumpster fire, because outside of some of the highlights you get from Barkley, the rest of the show sucks in my eyes. But that's my opinion. Maybe they'll still be open to adding Stephen A. Smith later on. I hope they do, just for the drama he would bring to that show. So that's all I have to say.